parents are, the sort of general public, and in education, parents are big drivers of change because parents are voters, because they have a tendency to be loud if they feel like something's a problem. But that's where it gets, even more complicated, and we have to be even more careful, because that's when we have to recognize that some parents have much more capacity to be drivers than other parents. So if you look at me, I know how to get in the newspaper, so I can be a driver of change, right? I speak English, I went to school in Canada, I'm kind of brave. So why should I have any more of a right to be a driver of change than a parent who came from another country, who maybe actually hated school or isn't very well educated, but has a feeling that she or he would like something to be different? So we have to really, and this is really the problem with how much politics there is in education policy, because sometimes those louder voices tend to be, not sometimes, I would say nearly always, the louder voices tend to be of a certain class, of a certain, they tend to be upper middle class, white, university educated. So are those the only voices we want to listen to? And we have to be careful, and you can see instances where change gets made that may only benefit those parents' children. And that's why advocacy is a great and wonderful and complex thing. And listening is very important, but we have to do more in a, I can't think of the word for it, we have to really overtly go out and look for those other voices, because if we only listen to the voices that get heard easily, we may make changes that really aren't for the benefit of the whole education system, that don't do the fundamental thing that education is supposed to do, which is to give all children a fairly equitable chance for success. And we have to have that voice in our heads all the time as educators, as principals, superintendents, people working in the system. We have to always remember that equity it's why public education is so important. And it doesn't mean that you don't give people what they want, or you don't respond to those voices, but it's really vital that that is where the system is important, and that system's thinking in a way is important, because part of that system's thinking has to be about fairness and equity. Parent engagement is an incredibly complicated thing to talk about, and I think that first of all, it has a tendency these days to be kind of loaded. Everybody has their own opinion of parent engagement means this. And usually, I think, they're talking about the engagement you can see. And they even have a tendency to talk about it as if it's the engagement you can see at school. And I'm going to give you an example that just happened to me. That a principal came up to me at the International Principals Conference, and they said, well, really the problem is high school. That parents aren't engaged at all in high school. What do we do about that? And I went, just a second. When my kids were in high school, I never went to the school. I did not volunteer in the school. I was involved in no school activities. I went to the parent-teacher interviews and the conferences and the concerts, but it didn't mean I wasn't engaged. I was a totally engaged parent. And I was engaged where it really, really counts in terms of student success, which is at home. So I think we have to be careful even about the term engagement, because I think we have a tendency to think of engagement as, on the school council or in the school or involved with the school. And to me, it's really important that we remember what all of the research says pretty unequivocally if we're talking about how we can help kids be successful in school. And it's what you do at home that's the most important. So to me, the question then becomes, how do we ensure that parents know more, and how do we communicate better with parents so that they understand, what makes a difference at home, what they can do at home, that they understand how easy it is to help their kids succeed at school. There's a difference. The discussion about being an advocate is different than or separate from that notion of parent engagement. But parent engagement it's incredibly important that parents are engaged in their children's education, but we can't necessarily see that engagement, and that's what makes it even harder than to build parents' capacity to be engaged or understanding of what that means to be engaged, or even to let them know that going to the concert, in fact, makes a difference to your child's success in school.